Yeah, this is the same shirt from yesterday's show. I don't give a shit. Big Deke news. I don't always make bold predictions, but when I do, I have the Steelers doing good things. So without further ado, let's get into my 5 bold predictions for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2023 season. First, Kenny Pickett will be elite. Let me go over some things for you. Last year, he set history as the only rookie quarterback in NFL history to lead his squad to back-to-back game-winning drives in the final minute of the fourth quarter, knocking off the Las Vegas Raiders and the Baltimore Ravens. Also, according to PFF, Pickett was the second highest graded quarterback last year since Week 12. First was Josh Allen with a 90.9 rating, and Kenny Pickett in second with a 90.1. And if last year isn't enough to catch your interest in seeing Pickett's potential, how about so far from what we've seen this year in the preseason? Because Pickett in the first-team offense went 5 for 5. 5 series, 5 touchdowns. Pickett, perfect passer rating. Almost 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 85% completion percentage. So there's that. Not only did we get to see the flashes from Pickett in his rookie year, but we are seeing the development in this offseason and him taking more command, more control, being the leader that this offense needs. And let me tell you this, I got to see him at Pitt when he was that, his senior year, and he was a Heisman finalist. I'm going to say he was snubbed of the Heisman, but that's another debate for another day. And when you consider other guys that have made the leap from year 1 to year 2, or the jump from their second year to year 3, and the guys I'm talking about are Jalen Hurts. He made the jump. Joe Burrow, he made the jump. Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen. Why can't Kenny Pickett? Because if I can remember correctly, 2 of those names that I brought up in Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts, those guys were being talked about having a ceiling, that they didn't have the most upside or they didn't have the most potential. Joe Burrow was being compared to Tony Romo coming out in the draft. And they were saying, he's good. He should go number 1 because he had one of the best college football seasons ever at LSU for a senior year. He needs to go number 1, but I think his upside is going to be capped. He's a B+ prospect. If he came out in a different year, I don't think he'd go number 1. This is all stuff that they were saying about Joe Burrow. And then Jalen Hurts, same thing. He was a second-round pick for a reason. No one believed in his potential, or no one believed he had this crazy high ceiling. But what did both of these guys do? They broke through the ceiling. So why not Kenny Pickett? Because I remember hearing a lot of the same things with him. He's the most pro-ready quarterback coming out in the draft. I don't think he has all the elite tools. He doesn't have the elite talent that a bunch of these other guys have. But, again, we've seen Joe Burrow, we've seen Jalen Hurts break through the mold. Why not Pickett? And I think the ceiling talk about Pickett is absolutely overblown to this point, because I got to witness his arm strength improve from last year to this year. I already thought his arm strength was adequate, but I think he is one of those dudes that works his ass off, and I'm not lying to you. I saw more velocity. I saw more zip in his passes this preseason than when you go back to 2022. And don't take it from me. Take it from a film junkie in Greg Cosell, because he's seeing the same thing as I am.
I did watch Pickett in the preseason, and I thought that his ball came out with a little more velocity and a little more juice than it did a year ago. And we've seen that over the years, that quarterbacks sometimes, as they grow and develop, they generate a little more velocity on their throws. I thought that was absolutely true with Tom Brady.
And add to it that Pickett has an arsenal of weapons at his disposal. You're talking 4 receivers in Calvin Austin, Deontay, Pickens, Allen Robinson, a top 5 or 6 tight end in Pat Freiermuth, the guy we drafted in the 3rd round, being Muth's complement in Darnell Washington. You got a nice RB tandem in Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, and absolutely revamped O-line from these last, 2-3 seasons, where we signed a bunch of guys, got elite talent, drafted dudes. So it's all there for Pickett. So I'm just saying, why not? I think he's going to be in that elite QB conversation when the season is over. Next, speaking of weapons, I got both Deontay Johnson and George Pickens, each eclipsing 1,000 receiving yards. Now, this may not be that bold of a take, at least for us, but around the league, there's people that I don't think view the Steelers offense as being that high potent where they could have multiple 1,000-yard receivers. But for us, you look back on last year, Deontay had 882 yards, and Pickens had around 800 yards as well. And that was with us having uncertainty at quarterback, going from Mitch to Kenny getting hurt, back to Mitch at times, and back to Kenny. and us not being a very pass-heavy offense. We were very run-first, and these dudes were still able to get close to the 1,000-yard benchmark. But now we have a whole offseason where Pickett's going into year 2. He's been working with these guys, building chemistry, and it's clear, like, the Steelers are going to be passing more than I even thought for 2023. I did think we were going to be run first. We were going to have a similar approach to last year, just to open it up a bit more. But I think it's going to be balanced. I think we're going to be passing whenever we feel like we need to pass, whenever the defense dictates that. And that means Pickett is going to be feeding Pickens and Deontay, wide receiver 1A, 1B, however you want to call it. And it's not like Deontay hasn't been a Pro Bowl receiver in the past already, hasn't eclipsed over 1,000 yards already. And then you got Pickens, who I think most people feel like it's his time. He's going to emerge. Anyone with eyes can see that this dude is going to be like an elite top 10 franchise type of receiver. It's just a matter of time. And I think the jump is going to happen as soon as this year. Like, Deontay gets open all the time. He was one of the top 5 receivers in terms of separation. And then you got a dude like Pickens, who is just open all the time. Even when he's not open, his catch radius is ridiculous. And that's what's cool about these two receivers is they'll put up the yards in different ways. And you saw that in what preseason game was it? I think it was the Buccaneers, right? First series in the Buccaneers preseason game. Deontay Johnson gets 3 catches, 30 yards. George Pickens, 1 catch, 30 yards, and a touchdown. Like, I think that's how it's going to be. Deontay is going to be more of the reception guy where we just keep feeding him on slants and drag routes, 5-10 yards out. He makes dudes miss. Whereas Pickens, he'll be the deep shot guy. Pickett will throw one up for 25, 30, 40 yards, and Pickens is going to come down with it. But I think both of them ultimately get over the 1,000 yards receiving. The ways they get it, though, will be a little different, and that's the thing that's going to be cool. They're going to complement each other pretty well. Third bold prediction, I got the Steelers not only leading the NFL in sacks, but also interceptions. Now, hear me out on this one. Over the last 6 years, from 2017 to 2022, the Steelers have led the NFL in sacks 5 of those 6 years. The one being last year where they didn't. The Eagles had 70. We had 40. I'll get into that in a little bit. But over 2017 to 2021, we led the league with 56, 52, 54, 56, and 55. So why did we have the drop-off last year? It's obvious to anyone that watched Steelers football, and that's because we had TJ Watt missing. You could look up the numbers. You could look up the metrics. Anytime we're missing TJ Watt, that affects the defense pretty drastically, but also the team. What do we have going into 2023? A healthy TJ Watt. Also, Alex Highsmith in his prime coming off a 14.5 sack season. Dude got paid, and dude got paid for a reason. But after Watt and Highsmith, dare I say, this might be the best edge rush depth that we've had in the last decade or two, because we added Nick Herbig in the 4th round this year. Everyone's calling him baby TJ Watt. Dude has all of his moves. And I think led the preseason in sacks. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So I could see him, depending on how much playing time he gets, he could get 5 or 6 sacks. And then Marcus Golden as our 4th guy, who's had double-digit sacks 3 times out of his NFL career. Quality, savvy NFL vet. And then not to mention the interior D-line, which has Cam Hayward, who's still playing at a Pro Bowl caliber. Larry Ogunjobi, dude we just gave... 3-year deal for $30+ million. Keanu Benton, drafted in the 2nd round to Marvin Leal, high upside dude on the D-line. Combine all that together, we are going to be in the mix for at least 55 to 60 sacks. Mark my words. So I think that's going to be, like it has been traditionally over these last 6 years, in the mix to be leading the league. Now, again, the Eagles had 70. I think that probably drops off and gets back more towards the mean. But then in terms of interceptions, we led the league last year with 20. And of the group getting the interceptions, the only guys that we lost were Cam Sutton, Arthur Maulet, and Ahkello Witherspoon. Those guys combined for 5 total picks. Cam Sutton had 3, Maulet had 1, Ahkello had 1. But we replaced those dudes with, I think, some high-quality guys in Joey Porter Jr., right? A Chandon Sullivan in place of Arthur Maulet. I think Chandon is a better coverage slot corner than Maulet. I don't think there's a question to that. And then Patrick Peterson, who had 5 interceptions in and of his own right last year and can still play. Dude's a Hall of Famer for a reason. But then we still got Minka, who had 6 picks last year. Levi Wallace had a career year with 4 picks in 2022. DeMonte Casey led the league in picks at some point with the Falcons. And then TJ is probably going to grab an interception or two at the line of scrimmage, tip a pass up, catch it, whatnot. And then maybe you get one or two from the inside linebackers like a Quan Alexander or a Cole Holcomb. So we're going to be in the mix for, I think, top 5 in each of those categories, sacks and interceptions. So why not put it all together and just lead the league in both? Now for my 4th bold prediction, I think the Steelers get the 1 seed and the whole AFC. This one simply comes down to, do you think the Steelers are going to be a good team in the AFC and they're going to be in the mix with the contenders? So if you think that, then you look at the schedule. The Steelers have one of the most easiest schedules out of all of the AFC. We play the NFC West this year, which is a down year for most of the teams. We catch the 49ers in week 1, who we know are going to be good, but we catch them at the best time with Bosa coming off of this holdout and then Brock Purdy coming off of this injury he sustained in the NFC Championship. First game on the road, West Coast to East Coast travel. But then the rest of the division, the Rams are down. You got the Seahawks. I don't think they're going to be as good as a lot of people are thinking. I don't know if they're on that serious contender trajectory that a lot of people have them tabbed as. And then with the Cardinals, we know they're tanking. We also play the AFC South, which is the worst division in football. We got our division games. We know AFC North is going to be tough, but that hasn't stopped us from having a good record against the AFC North in the past, right? And then the extra games that we have, the 3 extras, we got the 3rd place teams in the AFC East, which is the Patriots. These aren't the Tom Brady Patriots of old. The AFC West, the Raiders, dysfunction down there. And then the NFC North, the Packers. They don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. So out of the top 12 easiest schedules in the league, 9 of them are NFC teams, and then you have 3 that are AFC teams. And of those 3 AFC teams, it's the Steelers, the Colts, and the Texans. And I think we can all agree the Colts and Texans probably aren't serious contenders for making a playoff spot in the AFC. So that leaves the Steelers as the only AFC team with a serious chance at the playoffs on the easy side of the schedules. So where does that leave the rest of the AFC teams? Well, they're on the tougher side. You could just look at the chart right here. Bills, Chiefs, Chargers, Dolphins. You also got the Bengals on that side of things. Raiders, Patriots, Broncos, Ravens, even just like a little bit on that tougher side in that red area. And I'm not saying a tough schedule or anything is the be-all, end-all, because the Steelers have had the toughest schedules in the league in the past and have had success. But let's just be real. I was going to have the Steelers as the number 1 seed no matter what. But these are just more reasons as to why it could actually happen. Like, these are factors and variables that are leaning in the Steelers' favor, because we know it can happen when it comes down to some of this seeding shit. Like, all it takes is like a game or two to go one way or another. You got some of these tiebreakers. And when you compare the Steelers to the rest of these AFC contenders, their schedule is more on the easy side compared to everyone else. So that could be a factor at play for why the Steelers get the 1 seed. I think we're going to be good no matter what. But combine it with the easy schedule and whatnot, that could help. It's not going to hurt. And for my last bold prediction, we're going with special teams. I think Calvin Austin is a Pro Bowl / All-Pro return man when season ends. I think this one's pretty straightforward. Austin really just needs to return one to the house, and he's got a chance, because we had Deontay Johnson in 2019. Just, I think, returned 1 punt, and he became 2nd team All-Pro as a return specialist. And then even last year, Jamal Agnew of the Jaguars, he was a Pro Bowler. Didn't take anything back to the house. Had 0 touchdowns as a return man, but still made a Pro Bowl. So with Calvin Austin, we already saw in preseason, he passes the eye test as a return man. Not only does he have breakaway ability, he can take it back to the house, but can consistently get you like 10, 20 yards, can flip the field for you. So when you combine all that together, that I think he's going to be really good for us in the return game. If he could just return 1 or 2 to the house, I think he's going to be a lock for a Pro Bowl or All-Pro. Hell, even Gunner in his All-Pro year with the Patriots as a return guy, I think he only had 1 taken back. And not only are the Steelers due for a return, but I think Calvin Austin's due. I mean, he should have had 1 in the preseason already. So, yeah, I think he's going to be in the mix for Pro Bowl, All-Pro return man when the 2023 season comes to a close. But that's it for this edition of Big Deke News on Thursday. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if there's any bold predictions I missed. Drop those takes down in the comments. I'm sure there's going to be a few. Excited to read those. But yeah, I think tomorrow I'll do my Steelers-Niners preview at some point, like in the morning or the afternoon, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, have a great rest of the day. Enjoy the NFL opening kickoff game tonight, Lions Chiefs. But yeah, stay chilling. Peace.